On our trip to Labrador, Spike said that he'd like to ride to the end of the James Bay Road, now called the Billy Diamond Highway, and then across the Trans-Taiga Road. I hadn't heard of the Trans-Taiga, but it sounded really good to me. The moniker of the most remote road in North America seemed like an adventure on a grand scale, and one that I couldn't miss. Welcome to episode 1 of our Trans-Taiga adventure. Join us, it's a wild one. Hello friends, Tiger Coward here. Welcome back to my channel. In today's episode, I ride to Quebec to meet Spike, then we head northeast to Chibougamau, and then we hit 300 kilometers of gravel on Route du Nord. Along the way, I lose a little bit of my mojo and question the sanity of this trip. Join me, it's a good one. And so it began. Spike and I met in Val d'Or, Quebec, which is about 700 kilometers from the center of the universe. The drive was cold and miserable, but I wasn't. I was warmed by my excitement for this adventure. Despite the fact that Spike and I were coming from 600 kilometers apart, we arrived in Val d'Or within minutes of each other. That had to be a positive omen. The next day began unusually late, 10 o'clock, because it was mighty chilly and I couldn't bear to get out of my sleeping bag. It didn't warm up much and we headed northeast towards Chibougamau. Wow, that's fun to say, Chibougamau. We sped across Route 113, cutting a swath through a sea of black spruce forests, and the riding was really fun. The road was of varying quality and we came across multiple paving crews, improving on a road that made the top 10 worst roads in Quebec. All in all, by Quebec standards, the road is now in great shape. Admittedly, Quebec has the lowest standards on the continent. I enjoyed the rolling hills and the sudden drops to rivers and lakes. What I loved most was the solitude. We rode for ages without seeing a town or another vehicle. A tea break was in order after traversing 150 kilometers of windy roads in the backwoods. We found a well-cared-for park in the petite town of Lebel-sur-Quévillon, but the wind was so strong that there were whitecaps on the waves. This made it difficult to boil water on my camp stove and made the stop a short and uncomfortable one. Back on Route 113, the road was spectacular all the way to Chibougamau. There were plenty of bends and dramatically steep hills to entertain us on the way to the largest town in northern Quebec. With a population of 7,500, Chibougamau is the largest town that we'll see for days. In town, we had a surprisingly great dinner at Pub Royale. Afterwards, we settled down at Fond Nord Campground. This is a pretty little campground right on the shores of Lac Sauvage. I would definitely stay there again. To add to the delight, the black flies were swarming but not biting. Fortunately, the cool temperatures of this time of year are reducing the aerial pests, which is fine by me. I would rather wear a toque than a bug net. Our goal today was to ride 320 kilometers, or 200 miles, of Route du Nord to the Cree Nation of Namaska. The Route du Nord is an alternate route to the Billy Diamond Highway. The interweb describes the road as modern, well-maintained gravel road, and the locals warn that the real danger on this road comes from the logging trucks, not the road conditions. Both proved true. Travel on the first 125 kilometers or 75 miles was challenging because it was recently graded and the road was deep, loose gravel. Scary at first, but once you got into the groove of things, it was just fine. Then, without reason or warning, the conditions from marker 120 to 140 changed dramatically. The road became predominantly sand, which had the consistency of flour. Mercifully, we escaped this giant sand trap unscathed, and the next 100 kilometers of loose gravel felt like a treat. Regrettably, because we were forced to fully concentrate on staying upright, we didn't take in as much of the beauty that the North has to offer as we would have liked. Nonetheless, the scenery that we saw in front of us was stunning. We only stopped twice to take a few pictures and have a drink of water and wash the sand off our face and rinse it from our mouths. The approaching truckers were respectful and slowed for us when they could, but nonetheless, they showered us with sand. We pulled over to let the trucks from behind pass us, and they bombarded us with dust as well. Happily, there's not a lot of traffic on this road. In the first 4 hours, we couldn't have seen more than 10 vehicles, which was good because riding engulfed by a dust cloud left us blind to the road. Wearing a neck tube pulled over your face is a must on this road, unless you prefer to wear an N95 mask. The last 50 kilometers or 30 miles of the ride was very difficult. I mean very difficult when I say very difficult. There was a perfect mix of sand, loose gravel, big rocks, and deceivingly large potholes. This last 90 minutes drained my energy and had me doubting that I would enjoy the rest of the trip. I didn't doubt my skills or my bike, but with over 2,000 kilometers of gravel roads left on this trip, I wasn't sure that I would have any fun. Spoiler alert, I was wrong. When we reached Namaska, the first town in 325 kilometers, we were greeted kindly by locals as we stopped at the mall. As we dismounted and brushed the dust from our gear and every nook and cranny, we were welcomed with sincere kindness from the locals in the parking lot. Soon folks were coming from the shops just to meet us. They were genuinely excited that we were visiting their community and very interested in our trip. In the parking lot, we were speaking to the dog man and his friend Gabriel, two local guys, and they were educating us on the highlights of town and the places to camp. When I asked them if they knew where I could buy gas for my camp stove, Dogman replied, "Not here in town, but I have one at home, let me go get it." Sure enough, 5 minutes later, he arrived with a new canister of gas and then refused my offer to pay. Chatting with a few other people in the parking lot, we decided that camping at the local park on the beach was going to be the best option for the night. Hello folks, we got day 3 here of our Trans Taiga, or Taiga Coward, haha. I think I'm funny. Day 3 of our Trans Taiga adventure, and we are staying in Namiska, a Cree village in northern Quebec, and we have the greatest campsite. They allow you to camp at their little local park. So let me show you around this place. They have 2 nice little gazebos here, and there's where we set up in making our dinner. A lovely little beach. I think I'll go for a swim this evening, even if it's only a short one, because we worked up a big sweat on our drive on the North Road today. But have a look at this. It's 7 o'clock and the lake is beautiful. There are people just over here and they're picking wild blueberries. So we're going to pick some wild blueberries tomorrow and have them in our oatmeal. Awesome. As we settled into our tent, we contemplated an extraordinary day. We conquered 350 kilometers of gravel, crossed the 50th parallel, and reached the world's friendliest town. It only seems fitting that my doubts about the trip vanished on the shores of Lake Champion. Despite cursing the sand all day, I welcomed the Sandman and felt like a champion as I fell into a deep slumber. Go forth with an open mind and most importantly an open heart. And remember, self-care is not selfish. Well, there you have it, folks. A couple of amazing days. Stay with me for future episodes as we go deeper in the bush and way further north. I hope you liked what you saw, and if you did, please leave me a message, give me a thumbs up, and share this with a friend. See you on the next episode.